Hello, friends. Are you ready to explore the fascinating world of Den of Thieves 2, Pantera? Released on July 14, 2025. This film has sparked endless discussions, and today, we're bringing you all the hidden gems, stunning details, and unforgettable moments. If you enjoy this deep dive, be sure to hit that like button. It really helps our channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe for more exciting movie explorations. Let's jump right in and uncover the magic together. Released on July 14, 2025, Den of Thieves 2. Pantera is the thrilling sequel that takes the pulse-pounding action of its predecessor to a global scale. The 2018 original film, Den of Thieves, introduced us to the gritty world of bank heists, high-stakes criminal activity, and the morally ambiguous characters who live in the shadows of society. The film was a hit with action fans, but Den of Thieves 2 promises to take things to new heights, literally. With explosive set pieces, jaw-dropping twists, and deeper character development, this sequel manages to surpass its predecessor in many ways. What makes Den of Thieves 2, Pantera stand out is its ability to not only expand the world of Den of Thieves, but also elevate the franchise to a whole new level of intrigue and suspense. While the first film explored the tense cat-and-mouse game between the LAPD's elite gang unit and a group of sophisticated criminals planning a massive bank robbery, the sequel widens the scope, making the stakes larger, the antagonists more dangerous, and the plot more layered. Den of Thieves 2 is no longer confined to the streets of Los Angeles. This time, the world is the heist. The film quickly becomes a high-octane international thriller, with a network of criminals running complex schemes across the globe. The intricacies of the story are not just confined to the action scenes, but are intricately woven into the character development, allowing us to see characters from a new perspective. It's a fast-paced, globe-spanning crime drama that challenges our preconceived notions of justice, loyalty, and survival. A movie that combines action, crime, and personal drama. Den of Thieves 2 succeeds in expanding upon the thematic elements that made the first film so successful. However, the sequel takes the original concept and turns it on its head. The film delves deeper into the personal lives of the characters, exploring their inner demons, desires, and motivations. No longer are the characters simply playing on opposite sides of the law. Now, they are questioning their own roles in the world they've created, which brings a new depth to the overall narrative. Den of Thieves 2. Pantera begins with a bang, literally. The opening sequence is a heart-stopping heist set in an undisclosed foreign city, where the Pantera organization, a global criminal syndicate, pulls off a meticulously planned robbery of an international bank. The operation is clean, fast, and brutal, sending a clear message. Pantera is not just another criminal group. They are ruthless, organized, and capable of pulling off jobs on a scale that the world has never seen before. From here, the film shifts back to Nick Flanagan, played by Gerard Butler, the grizzled, morally conflicted LAPD detective. Flanagan, who survived the chaotic events of the first film, finds himself once again on the trail of a new criminal mastermind. But this time, he's not alone. The FBI, Interpol, and law enforcement agencies from around the world are on his tail, all vying for a chance to capture the elusive criminals behind the Pantera syndicate. However, Flanagan's approach is far more personal. He doesn't just want to arrest the criminals. He wants to destroy them, to end the reign of terror they've unleashed. In the midst of this global manhunt, we are introduced to new faces in the criminal world. The Pantera crew is led by a shadowy figure, known only as the Ghost. This enigmatic leader seems to be always one step ahead of Flanagan, orchestrating heists that are not only sophisticated but devastating. The Pantera gang members are a collection of highly skilled individuals, each with their own motivations. Some are in it for the money, others for power, and some have darker, more personal reasons for their involvement in the organization. As the film progresses, we learn that there are secrets within Pantera that run far deeper than anyone anticipated. While the first film focused on a single bank robbery and the cat-and-mouse game between the police and criminals, Den of Thieves 2 builds upon that tension by introducing multiple heists, each more complex than the last. There's the heist in the foreign city, followed by a high-speed chase across the borders of Europe, a daring raid on a vault hidden beneath a luxury hotel, And finally, a massive showdown that takes place in the heart of an underground criminal syndicate in Asia. Each of these moments is packed with tension, suspense, and action. But what really sets the film apart are the unexpected twists. Characters we thought we understood reveal darker layers, and loyalties shift in unpredictable ways. Perhaps the most intriguing part of the plot is how the lines between good and bad begin to blur. Flanagan, the protagonist, finds himself at a crossroads. The law, which he has always tried to uphold, begins to feel like a system that works against him. As his obsession with capturing Pantera grows, he starts to make questionable decisions, sometimes resorting to methods that put him in the same morally gray area as the criminals he's chasing. This internal struggle is one of the most compelling aspects of the film, as Flanagan's character is forced to confront the limits of justice and the cost of pursuing vengeance. One of the most significant highlights of Den of Thieves 2 is the outstanding performances from its cast. Gerard Butler delivers a powerhouse performance as Nick Flanagan. His portrayal of the emotionally scarred, driven detective feels more nuanced than ever before. Butler captures the torment and weariness of his character, while still giving us the moments of expect from the series. Flanagan is now a man who is coming apart at the seams, struggling to find meaning in his violent world. The supporting cast also shines. Newcomer, insert actor name, plays the mysterious leader of Pantera, the Ghost, with an eerie calmness that sends shivers down your spine. The Ghost's calculated moves and cryptic motivations keep the audience guessing, and the actor's performance adds layers of intrigue to the villain. Meanwhile, insert actor name brings depth to a secondary character, a former ally of Flanagan who becomes entangled in the criminal underworld, questioning whether they are truly on the side of justice or whether they've become pawns in a much larger game. The action scenes in Den of Thieves 2 are as exhilarating as they are beautifully shot. From high-speed chases through narrow streets to intense shootouts in dark, rain-soaked alleyways, the filmmakers have crafted sequences that are both visually stunning and pulse-pounding. But the visuals are not limited to the action. The film's cinematography also captures the haunting beauty of the various international locations. Whether it's the neon glow of a high-tech city or the stark, desolate landscapes of a desert hideout, the backdrop to the action adds to the immersive experience. The stark contrasts between light and dark, the wide shots of sprawling cities, and the intimate close-ups of characters in moments of emotional crisis all contribute to the atmosphere that defines Den of Thieves 2, Pantera. Den of Thieves 2, Pantera captivated audiences not only for its action, but for its deeper exploration of characters, themes, and morality. The first film set up a world of criminals and law enforcement, but the sequel delves into the psychology of the people who inhabit this world. It challenges our assumptions about right and wrong, offering no easy answers. Viewers are drawn into a moral labyrinth, where every character's actions have consequences that ripple through the plot in surprising ways. The world is larger, more complicated, and more dangerous than ever before, and Den of Thieves 2 forces us to confront the idea that no one is truly beyond redemption, and no one is entirely innocent. It also offers the perfect blend of intelligence and action. The heists are meticulously planned, but they're also thrilling to watch, making each twist in the plot feel earned. This is not a film where the action comes out of nowhere. It's a result of the characters' careful, calculated moves. Audiences appreciate the cleverness of the heists, as well as the tension that builds with every moment leading up to them. Den of Thieves 2 is a perfect mix of heart-pounding action, suspense, and complex character development. If you've made it this far, you're already on the edge of your seat, and for good reason. Den of Thieves 2, Pantera is not just an action film. It's a journey into the heart of darkness, exploring the consequences of obsession, loyalty, and betrayal. It teases the audience with thrilling moments, but it also challenges them to question everything they thought they knew about the characters and their motivations. Each twist feels earned, each decision comes with weight, and every action sequence leaves you gasping for breath. The film doesn't just leave you satisfied. It leaves you wanting more. What happens next? What secrets will be uncovered? As the credits roll, you'll be left with a sense of awe and anticipation for what's to come. Den of Thieves 2 opens a door into a larger world of heists and criminals, a world that is as dangerous as it is mesmerizing. Whether you're here for the action, the performances, or the unraveling mystery, there's no shortage of excitement waiting for you. The ride isn't over yet, and for fans of gritty, high-stakes crime thrillers, Den of Thieves 2, Pantera is a movie that will keep you hooked from start to finish. So stay tuned, because the secrets of this world are just beginning to unfold. The opening of Den of Thieves 2, Pantera is a slow burn that builds suspense with a single heart-racing heist. The film doesn't waste time jumping into the action. Instead, it sets the tone with a meticulously planned robbery in a foreign city that becomes a harbinger of the chaos and intensity to come. The sequence is shot with the kind of gritty realism that made the first film so gripping. But here, the stakes are higher, the players are more dangerous, and the world has expanded. As the Pantera organization executes its heist with precision and violence, the audience is thrust into a tense, high-stakes world where every move counts. As the criminals storm the bank, we catch our first glimpse of the Pantera crew in action. They are no longer a ragtag group of thieves, but a highly organized, well-oiled machine capable of carrying out complex heists anywhere on the globe. The opening robbery serves two purposes. It shows just how formidable Pantera is, and it establishes the film's overall tone, one of constant tension, uncertainty, and danger. There's no time to relax, no time to breathe. From the moment the first shot is fired, the action doesn't let up, and neither does the tension. In the aftermath of the heist, we meet Nick Flanagan, Gerard Butler, the film's central character. He's still the same weary, morally gray LAPD detective from the first film, but now, there's a deeper level of exhaustion in his eyes. Flanagan has been through hell, and it's taken a toll on him. His life is defined by the pursuit of criminals, and his work has begun to feel like a personal obsession. He's been chasing the ghost of his own failures, haunted by the loss of colleagues and the dangers that come with being too invested in a high-risk, high-reward lifestyle. This time, Flanagan is called in to investigate the aftermath of the Pantera robbery. The criminals have left no trace of their involvement, but the way they've executed the heist is so flawless that Flanagan recognizes the signature of a group much bigger than anything he's encountered before. His gut tells him that this is the start of something far more dangerous. Flanagan's instincts are always on point, but this time, they are tinged with desperation. He knows that the forces behind Pantera will do whatever it takes to stay hidden, to remain elusive, and he's ready to follow that trail wherever it leads. Flanagan's return to the criminal underworld feels inevitable, almost like a return to a place he never truly left. This time, though, the stakes feel more personal. As the investigation deepens, Flanagan's frustration becomes palpable. His colleagues and superiors at the LAPD are skeptical of his increasingly intense pursuit of Pantera, seeing him as a lone wolf who's perhaps getting too emotionally involved. But Flanagan knows that something is off. This is no ordinary criminal organization, and if he doesn't get to them first, the consequences could be far-reaching. His persistence, however, begins to take a toll on him as his work bleeds into his personal life. Flanagan's home life is a fractured one, and we begin to see the emotional toll this life of crime fighting has taken on his relationships, especially with his estranged wife. As Flanagan dives deeper into the investigation, the narrative shifts between his pursuit of Pantera and the inner workings of the criminal syndicate. The film takes its time here, giving the audience a chance to understand who these criminals are and what motivates them. We meet the Ghost, played by a mysterious new actor, the leader of the Pantera syndicate, but the film cleverly keeps his true identity hidden for a while. He's a shadowy figure, a man who seems to operate behind the scenes, manipulating events with a calm, calculated demeanor. The Ghost isn't interested in violence for the sake of violence. He's in it for the long game, for power and control. His enigmatic nature adds an aura of mystery and danger to the narrative, making the audience question whether they will ever fully understand his motivations, or if he's simply too cunning to be understood. Meanwhile, we are introduced to Victor, a former ally of Flanagan, who is now working with Pantera. Victor is a character who straddles the line between good and evil, and his motivations are far more complex than they first appear. Once a law enforcement officer, Victor's decision to cross over to the criminal world comes with its own set of challenges. He's not driven by greed, but by a sense of betrayal and a desire for something more, something beyond the law. The relationship between Flanagan and Victor is a central point of tension in the first half of the movie. The two men share a complicated history, one that's defined by mutual respect but also a deep sense of mistrust. When Flanagan first catches wind of Victor's involvement with Pantera, it feels like a personal betrayal. But Victor is a man of many faces, and his motivations aren't as straightforward as they seem. Is he simply a criminal now? Or is he playing a deeper game that will ultimately lead him back to Flanagan? The first half of the movie is filled with several thrilling sequences that showcase the high level of skill Pantera brings to their operations. The heist in the foreign city is just the beginning, and each subsequent mission feels bigger and more intricate than the last. There's a robbery in an exclusive European vault, followed by an intense chase through winding, narrow streets, and a confrontation that almost costs Flanagan everything. The stakes continue to rise, and with every action-packed moment, there's an undercurrent of unease. The audience is slowly fed small pieces of information about Pantera's endgame, but it's clear that no one knows the full picture, not even Flanagan. What stands out in the early parts of the movie is the constant push and pull between Flanagan and the forces that want to take down Pantera. The tension between law enforcement agencies and their conflicting approaches is palpable. The LAPD, the FBI, and Interpol each have their own interests at heart. Flanagan, however, is singularly focused on taking down Pantera, and his obsession with them leads him to make decisions that others view as reckless. His former partner, Tom, warns him that his relentless pursuit could lead him down a dangerous path, but Flanagan dismisses his concerns, believing that justice must be served, even if it means crossing moral lines. The film's tone in the first half is one of constant uncertainty. The viewer knows that things are never going to go according to plan. Flanagan's character, once seen as a hero in the first movie, now faces the darker, more flawed side of the law. His internal struggle about whether his methods are still justified becomes a central theme. Is he any better than the criminals he's chasing? The more we learn about Flanagan's backstory, the more we understand why he operates the way he does. His pain, his losses, and his personal sacrifices have shaped him into a man who will stop at nothing to bring criminals to justice, even if it means becoming a criminal himself in the process. One of the key moments that foreshadows a major twist comes when Flanagan discovers that Pantera is not just about heists. It's part of a larger network of criminal activities that span multiple countries and industries. Pantera's operations are not limited to simple robberies. They are involved in money laundering, arms dealing, and even political manipulation. As Flanagan uncovers more about their global reach, he begins to realize that this is more than just a heist film. It's a larger conspiracy. The stakes are no longer just about capturing criminals. They are about preventing a global catastrophe. As Flanagan and his team close in on the syndicate, their every move is anticipated by the Ghost, whose strategic brilliance becomes even more apparent. The film does an excellent job of showing the difference between Flanagan's aggressive, direct approach and the Ghost's more cerebral, patient tactics. As the two men circle each other, the tension builds, with each one constantly trying to outsmart the other. What makes the first half of Den of Thieves 2 so engaging is the way it balances action with character development, building a world where every decision has consequences, and every move made in the shadows could lead to the next explosive moment. By the end of the first half, the lines between law and chaos have become increasingly blurred. Flanagan has started to question his own role in this war, and the audience is left wondering how far he will go to stop Pantera, and whether his obsession will cost him everything he holds dear. The first half of Den of Thieves 2, Pantera, is a thrilling, action-packed ride that keeps the audience on the edge of their seat, eagerly anticipating what comes next, all while subtly planting the seeds for the massive twists to come. The second half of Den of Thieves 2, Pantera, takes the intensity of the first act and escalates it to new heights. As the stakes continue to rise, the narrative dives deeper into the complex world of the Pantera syndicate, Flanagan's obsessive pursuit of them, and the moral compromises both sides must make to survive. The pacing picks up, with key revelations, shocking twists, and explosive action sequences driving the film forward. Every choice, every step, seems to have a weighty consequence, and as the pieces of the puzzle begin to fall into place, we are left with a taut, suspenseful conclusion that ties together the many threads of the film in a way that's both satisfying and surprising. Flanagan, now fully immersed in the investigation, begins to realize just how deep the syndicate's operations go. The initial suspicion that Pantera was merely a high-level heist crew morphs into an understanding of their far-reaching influence. As Flanagan pushes further into the investigation, he uncovers a far more sinister side to Pantera's operations. Their grip on power is not just financial but political, and their involvement in illegal arms deals and global corruption becomes increasingly apparent. The deeper Flanagan goes, the more he risks alienating his colleagues, pushing boundaries, and ultimately walking a fine line between law enforcement and the criminal underworld he's chasing. Flanagan's obsession with capturing Pantera reaches an almost destructive level. His internal conflict becomes more pronounced as he starts to question whether his pursuit of justice is worth the personal cost. He has begun to see himself reflected in the criminals he chases, grappling with the idea that perhaps he has crossed a line from lawman to vigilante. This inner turmoil is mirrored in the film's rising stakes. Flanagan's aggressive pursuit of justice begins to blur the lines between good and evil, as the very tactics he once used to protect people are now being used to hunt down a criminal syndicate with equal ruthlessness. His obsession starts to consume him, affecting his personal life, his relationship with his estranged wife, and even his reputation within the LAPD. Meanwhile, the film weaves in more about Victor's role within Pantera. Having once been a lawman himself, Victor's transition into the criminal world has left him a man torn between his former allegiances and the reality of his current existence. There is a palpable sense of guilt in his actions, but at the same time a justification for his choices, a belief that the system itself is broken, and that Pantera offers him a chance at something greater than the legal system ever could. As his interactions with Flanagan become more frequent and increasingly strained, it becomes clear that Victor is not just a pawn in the larger criminal organization, but a key player with a significant personal stake in how things unfold. Their relationship is one of both camaraderie and betrayal, and it's uncertain whether their bond will break or whether it will lead to a shared resolution. The film expertly shifts between Flanagan's pursuit and the escalating schemes of Pantera, who have now turned their focus on an even more audacious plan, a heist that will have global consequences. The audience is led through a series of meticulously orchestrated set pieces, where every move is calculated, every escape route planned in advance. In a particularly gripping sequence, Pantera pulls off an operation that involves infiltrating a high-security international auction for illegal arms, and the heist itself is a tense, heart-pounding moment of strategic genius. Every twist and turn feels earned, adding another layer of complexity to their operations. Flanagan's investigation reaches a boiling point when he uncovers a shocking connection between Pantera and several powerful political figures across the globe. The discovery is a game-changer. Flanagan has been chasing Pantera without realizing that they were playing a much bigger game all along. With this revelation, Flanagan faces a moral dilemma. Does he expose the syndicate for what it truly is, or does he allow the higher-ups in law enforcement and government to use the syndicate for their own ends? The realization that his superiors may have known about Pantera's influence all along casts a shadow over everything Flanagan thought he knew about the system he spent his life upholding. The tension between Flanagan and the Ghost, the shadowy leader of Pantera, begins to reach a crescendo. The Ghost's calculated, cerebral approach stands in stark contrast to Flanagan's blunt, aggressive methods. As Flanagan closes in on the leader, he finds himself drawn into a high-stakes game of cat and mouse, where each move feels like a step closer to either a devastating defeat or an earth-shattering victory. The anticipation mounts as the stakes get higher. Flanagan knows that bringing down Pantera could take everything from him, but the temptation to bring justice to such a massive and powerful criminal syndicate proves too strong to resist. In a pivotal moment, Flanagan is forced to confront his own vulnerabilities. A brutal attack on his life, an attempted hit by Pantera's operatives, leaves him questioning not only his safety but his sanity. The film shifts here, giving the audience a deeper look into Flanagan's psyche. His obsessive nature and willingness to take extreme risks have made him a target, and he begins to understand just how far Pantera will go to protect their operations. With the walls closing in on him, Flanagan is faced with a choice. Continue his pursuit of Pantera, potentially leading to his own destruction, or abandon his mission and walk away, leaving the syndicate to thrive unchecked. In parallel, we see Victor grappling with his own personal demons. Torn between his past as a law enforcement officer and his present as a member of the criminal underworld, he becomes increasingly disillusioned with the path he's chosen. Victor knows that his allegiance to Pantera has a shelf life, and it's unclear whether he can escape the grip of the syndicate before they turn on him. His own arc plays out alongside Flanagan, with their fates intertwined in unexpected ways. In a climactic moment, Victor's loyalty is put to the test. He finds himself in a position where he must either save Flanagan from a dire situation or ensure that Pantera's plans move forward, no matter the cost. The tension reaches its peak when the two men, Flanagan and Victor, find themselves facing off in a final showdown. Both have crossed lines, both are now far from the men they once were, and the fate of not only their lives but the future of Pantera hangs in the balance. The heist they are trying to stop culminates in a breathtaking action sequence, one that tests their limits and forces them to confront the reality of their actions. In the end, Flanagan's pursuit of Pantera leads to a shocking revelation that ties together everything that has been building throughout the film. The Ghost, it turns out, has been orchestrating a much more elaborate game than anyone could have imagined. As the pieces fall into place, the true scope of Pantera's operations and their ties to global power structures come into full view. What started as a series of high-profile robberies has now escalated into a global conspiracy that could change the course of history. With the truth out in the open, the final moments of the film leave the audience stunned, as Flanagan is forced to make one last decision that will seal his fate and possibly the fate of the entire world. As the film concludes, the narrative threads come together seamlessly. The story of Den of Thieves 2, Pantera is not just one of heists and shootouts, but one of moral ambiguity, personal sacrifice, and the question of whether the pursuit of justice is worth the cost of one's soul. The resolution is both thrilling and thought-provoking, leaving the audience with lingering questions and a sense of awe at the complexity of the story that has unfolded. The twists, the turns, and the devastating final revelations all come together in a satisfying, emotionally charged conclusion that will keep viewers thinking long after the credits roll. In Den of Thieves 2, Pantera, the movie's core is its rich tapestry of characters, each driven by their own motivations, moral complexities, and personal histories. At the center of it all is Nick Flanagan, whose journey from a hardened lawman to a man caught in the very web he seeks to dismantle takes audiences on a thrilling ride filled with intense emotional highs and gut-wrenching realizations. His story is paralleled by the enigmatic figure of the Ghost, the cold and calculating leader of the Pantera syndicate, and Victor, the morally ambiguous former lawman turned criminal who finds himself at the intersection of two worlds. Through these complex characters, the film not only explores the thrill of the heist genre, but delves deep into the gray areas of right and wrong, justice and revenge, loyalty and betrayal. Nick Flanagan, played with raw intensity by Gerard Butler, is a character who has been hardened by years of pursuing criminals and navigating the dangerous streets of Los Angeles. His appearance in Den of Thieves 2 echoes the struggles of the first film, but with an added layer of personal pain. By the time we rejoin Flanagan, he's a man who is torn between his duty as a cop and his growing obsession with the criminal underworld he's constantly at odds with. Flanagan's character is defined by a singular drive: to take down the criminals who have eluded justice for far too long. However, as the investigation into Pantera deepens, Flanagan's own boundaries blur. His determination to bring justice to those who think they're untouchable gradually evolves into an obsession that threatens to consume him. Flanagan is no longer the clear-cut hero he once was. His descent into this moral gray area makes his character arc compelling and relatable. He's driven not just by a sense of duty, but also by the ghosts of his past and his ongoing struggles with personal loss. Gerard Butler's portrayal of Flanagan is nothing short of gripping. With each scene, Butler brings a tangible sense of fatigue to the character, as if Flanagan is running on fumes, both physically and mentally. The actor's portrayal of a man haunted by his choices is poignant, with Flanagan's isolation and inner turmoil being evident in his every move. Butler's performance captures the complexity of a character who is always teetering on the edge, constantly questioning his own actions, yet never backing down from his pursuit of justice. His layered performance draws the audience into Flanagan's world, making them understand why he keeps pushing forward, even when the personal costs are too high. Victor, portrayed by a talented supporting actor, is one of the film's most intriguing characters. He's a former lawman, much like Flanagan, and his transformation into a key member of Pantera adds an element of tragedy to the story. Victor is not a one-dimensional villain. Instead, he represents the harsh realities of moral ambiguity. He's a man who, once serving as a protector of the law, is now entangled in the criminal world due to a combination of betrayal, disappointment, and the promise of power that Pantera offers. His character arc explores themes of loyalty, redemption, and the difficult choices people make when they feel like the system has failed them. There's an air of melancholy around Victor as he struggles to reconcile his past with his present. His relationship with Flanagan is one of the film's emotional anchors. These two men, once colleagues, are now on opposite sides of the law, yet their history and respect for each other still linger. The tension between them builds as Flanagan gets closer to uncovering Victor's role in Pantera's operations. As Victor finds himself deeper within the syndicate, he realizes the power and control Pantera offers him, but at a great cost. The battle between loyalty to his old partner and the promise of a new life in the criminal world becomes a crucial turning point for his character. In a powerful moment of reckoning, Victor is forced to decide where his true allegiance lies, whether with his former colleague, who still views him as a friend, or with the organization that has given him a new purpose but also threatens to destroy him. The actor's portrayal of Victor's internal conflict is magnetic, bringing depth to a character who is constantly walking a fine line between the past and the present. The Ghost, the shadowy leader of Pantera, is another standout character in the film. Played with a calculated calm by an actor who brings an air of mystery to the role, the Ghost is everything Flanagan is not. Where Flanagan is brash, impulsive, and emotionally driven, the Ghost is patient, cerebral, and impeccably composed. He's the mastermind behind the syndicate's most audacious heists, and every decision he makes seems calculated to stay several steps ahead of law enforcement. The Ghost's quiet but immense power is reflected in his demeanor. He's always in control, never rushing, never flinching. What makes the Ghost such a compelling character is his ability to command an organization like Pantera while never once breaking a sweat. He's methodical in his plans, always thinking several moves ahead, and his cool demeanor in the face of danger makes him a formidable opponent for Flanagan. As the film progresses, we learn more about the Ghost's motivations and his cold, strategic approach to both crime and life. He's not driven by greed or the thrill of violence. Rather, his ambitions are far more complex. The Ghost views Pantera as a way to disrupt the established order, a challenge to the corrupt systems of power he believes have controlled the world for too long. His ideological stance sets him apart from other villains in the genre, as he doesn't see himself as a simple criminal, but as a disruptor, someone fighting against a world he believes is built on lies. His relationship with his crew is one of respect, but also fear. His presence is a constant reminder that in Pantera, power is absolute, and every member serves a larger, unstoppable machine. His understated yet chilling performance adds layers to the film's conflict, with the Ghost serving as a mirror to Flanagan, a man who also seeks justice, but in a way that is driven by rage, revenge, and a desire to burn down the system rather than work within it. While Flanagan, Victor, and the Ghost are the film's primary players, Den of Thieves 2 wouldn't be complete without its secondary characters, whose actions and decisions help propel the plot forward. These characters may not always have the same depth as the lead roles, but they each contribute to the narrative in meaningful ways. The film introduces several members of the Pantera syndicate, each with their own specialized skills and roles within the organization. From the tech-savvy mastermind who handles the syndicate's hacking operations to the deadly enforcer who takes care of the physical tasks, these secondary characters give Pantera a sense of unity and purpose, They also serve as foils to Flanagan's team, showcasing the stark difference between law enforcement and criminal enterprises. Flanagan colleagues in law enforcement also play key roles in driving the plot forward. While the film primarily focuses on Flanagan's journey, his interactions with his fellow officers reveal the strained nature of his career. His colleagues at the LAPD, especially his partner, Tom, provide insight into the darker side of the police force. Tom, in particular, serves as a foil to Flanagan's obsessive nature. Where Flanagan sees the job as personal, Tom is more pragmatic, trying to keep Flanagan grounded and reminding him of the larger picture. Their dynamic offers a glimpse into Flanagan's unraveling sense of self, and Tom's warnings serve as a reminder that Flanagan's obsession may cost him more than just his career. As we follow these characters through the second half of the film, it becomes clear that every character, whether primary or secondary, is intricately connected to the unfolding drama. The film does a remarkable job of weaving these threads together, making each character's motivations, arcs, and actions meaningful to the larger narrative. From Flanagan's descent into obsession to Victor's moral dilemma and the ghost's calculated moves, each character contributes to the complex web of relationships, betrayals, and high-stakes action that make Den of Thieves 2. Pantera not just a thrilling heist film but a deep exploration of the human condition in the face of impossible odds. The film's success is, in large part, due to the performances of its actors, who bring each of these characters to life with such authenticity and complexity. From Gerard Butler's emotional depth as Flanagan to the chilling, enigmatic presence of the ghost, the cast transforms these roles into unforgettable portrayals. The movie thrives on the tension between these characters, whether it's the friendship-turned-betrayal between Flanagan and Victor, the ideological battle between Flanagan and the ghost, or the quiet internal struggles of each member of the syndicate. Every character feels integral to the plot, and every action, no matter how small, resonates throughout the story. In the end, Den of Thieves 2. Pantera is a film that doesn't just rely on its action or heist sequences to keep the audience engaged. It's the characters, their growth, their choices, and the complex web of motivations that drive them, that make the film truly compelling. By the time the credits roll, the audience feels like they've not just experienced a thrilling ride, but also gone on a deeply emotional and morally complex journey with some truly unforgettable characters. In Den of Thieves 2, Pantera, the film not only thrills with its high-octane action and complex characters, but also subtly layers the narrative with a wealth of hidden details, references, and Easter eggs that deepen its world-building and give keen-eyed viewers plenty to unpack. As with many films of this genre, the devil is in the details, whether it's a sly nod to previous heist movies, a thematic echo from pop culture, or an intentional piece of foreshadowing that hints at the twists to come. These subtle layers of meaning enrich the experience for those who are paying close attention, adding a layer of complexity to the film that invites repeated viewings. The most noticeable and perhaps most satisfying layer of subtlety comes in the form of Den of Thieves 2's references to its predecessor. The first Den of Thieves movie was a gritty exploration of the line between law enforcement and criminals, and this sequel builds on those foundations, further blurring that line. In a key scene early in the film, we see Flanagan in a tense, solitary moment looking at a police badge, and for a split second we see his reflection distorted in the badge, almost unrecognizable. This brief visual trick hints at the evolution of his character from the first film. He has gone from being a morally driven cop to someone whose own identity is becoming warped by the pursuit of justice at any cost. This reflection, distorted by the badge, symbolizes how far Flanagan has fallen from the man he once was, and it's a subtle callback to the moral ambiguity explored in the first movie. Another recurring motif in the film is the theme of loyalty and betrayal, which is tied directly to Flanagan and Victor's fraught relationship. There's an interesting reference to the Godfather series here, particularly in a scene where Victor, played with an air of tragic inevitability, meets with his higher-ups in Pantera. In this moment, we hear a faint but unmistakable piece of the iconic theme music from The Godfather. It's not overt but is placed strategically just as Victor is faced with a decision of whether or not to betray his old partner. This reference not only pays homage to one of the greatest crime sagas in film history, but also underlines the central moral dilemma at the heart of Victor's character arc: loyalty to the law or loyalty to the criminal underworld. This subtle cue serves as a reminder of the impossible choices the characters face, much like the Corleone family had to navigate their own moral quagmires. Flanagan's own obsession with catching Pantera is another element that connects the movie to a rich tapestry of cinematic history. Throughout the film, there are visual callbacks to classics like Heat and The Dark Knight, especially in its portrayal of the constant cat-and-mouse game between law enforcement and high-level criminals. In one of the final chase sequences, as Flanagan corners one of Pantera's operatives in a high-speed pursuit through downtown Los Angeles, the streets themselves are framed much like the iconic shots from Heat's robbery sequence. The towering skyscrapers, the dark, shadowy alleyways, and the frantic pace all echo Michael Mann's 1995 classic. It's not just a reference to a legendary film. It also foreshadows Flanagan's own downward spiral into the very world of criminals he's trying to destroy. The more he chases Pantera, the more he becomes entangled in their world, just as the protagonists of Heat were never able to fully escape their own lives of crime. The film also incorporates a series of visual metaphors tied to the concept of panther imagery, which is central to the film's title. The name Pantera itself is not just a reference to a criminal syndicate. It's symbolic of the stealth, power, and predatory nature of the organization. Throughout the film, the camera often lingers on shadows, reflections, and sudden movements, particularly when the syndicate is making its moves. In one key scene, as the ghost watches his crew execute a high-stakes heist, the silhouette of his figure resembles that of a big cat, lean, muscular, and predatory. This feline imagery is repeated throughout the film, from the sleek, dark vehicles Pantera uses to the silent, methodical way in which the syndicate carries out its plans. Even in the way Pantera's operatives move, there is a grace and deliberation that evokes the quiet lethality of a predator on the prowl. This visual metaphor is more than just aesthetic. It underscores the film's themes of survival, predation, and the hunt, whether it's Flanagan hunting Pantera or Pantera hunting their next score. Symbolism is further explored through the use of mirrors, which appear throughout the film in various forms. Mirrors are an important part of the film's visual language, used to represent the idea of self-reflection and duality. The most poignant example occurs when Flanagan stands before a mirror in the police precinct after a grueling confrontation with one of Pantera's members. The reflection staring back at him is haggard and broken, a stark contrast to the image of the man he used to be. This moment serves as a visual cue to the audience that Flanagan is no longer just chasing criminals. He is slowly becoming one of them, consumed by his obsession with justice and revenge. The use of mirrors throughout the film speaks to the internal struggle of the characters. Whether it's Flanagan's inner battle or Victor's struggle to reconcile his past with his present, the reflection in the mirror is not always clear, a visual metaphor for how both Flanagan and Victor are losing sight of who they are. Another subtle Easter egg that fans of heist films will appreciate comes in the form of a book Flanagan reads in a quiet, reflective moment, The Art of War by Sun Tzu. This book, found in a scene where Flanagan is alone in his apartment, seems like a throwaway detail, but it's a nod to the intelligence and strategic thinking required in both law enforcement and the criminal world. The teachings of Sun Tzu emphasize deception, anticipation, and patience, traits that are shared by both Flanagan and Pantera, even though they occupy opposing sides of the law. This is a clever reference to the way the film mirrors the cat-and-mouse nature of a good heist story, with each side trying to outsmart the other at every turn. The movie's setting also plays a significant role in shaping its thematic undercurrents. Los Angeles, the backdrop of Den of Thieves 2, Pantera, is often framed as a city of extremes, luxury and poverty, law and lawlessness. Throughout the film, there are small but powerful moments where the vast divide between the city's different socio-economic strata is highlighted. In one particularly striking scene, a robbery is staged in a posh Beverly Hills mansion, and the sharp contrast between the opulence of the mansion's interiors and the grittiness of the streets Flanagan walks after a failed attempt at capturing the robbers is striking. This contrast between the world of the elite and the world of the underprivileged highlights the power structures in play, reminding the audience that the battle between law enforcement and crime is not just a personal one, but a systemic one that is shaped by the inequality within society itself. As the film nears its climax, the recurring motif of fire becomes ever more prevalent. Flames, both literal and metaphorical, represent the destruction and rebirth central to the story. Flanagan's relationship with his former partner, Victor, mirrors this theme. At times it feels like their bond is burning out, but just as often, it seems to ignite into something far more dangerous. Fire is used as a symbol not only for destruction but for the possibility of transformation. Whether it's the literal flames of a final confrontation or the metaphorical flames of Flanagan's internal journey, the imagery of fire adds a layer of urgency and inevitability to the proceedings. For sharp-eyed viewers, one last detail to note is the recurring appearance of an old, beaten-up watch worn by Victor. The watch is a nod to a piece of lost time, reflecting Victor's internal struggle with his past. Every time he checks it, the audience is reminded of the life he once led as a lawman, and the ticking sound serves as a constant reminder that time is running out for him to make the right decision. As his character arc unfolds, the watch becomes symbolic of his race against time to either redeem himself or fall further into the depths of the criminal world. Den of Thieves 2. Pantera is a film rich in details, Easter eggs, and hidden symbolism. From the sly references to classic heist films to the more obscure nods to history and philosophy, the film's creators have crafted a narrative that rewards the attentive viewer. Each small detail is carefully placed to enhance the themes of the film: loyalty, justice, and the internal battle between good and evil. These hidden details are not just filler. They are integral to the story's depth and complexity, making Den of Thieves 2 a film that invites viewers to look beyond the surface and dive deeper into its intricate world. Every rewatch reveals something new, whether it's a subtle visual metaphor, a quiet moment of foreshadowing, or an Easter egg that pays homage to the genre's rich cinematic history. Creating Den of Thieves 2, Pantera was not just about building on the intense action-packed blueprint set by the first film, but also about navigating a series of unique challenges that would ultimately shape the movie into a more immersive, emotional, and thrilling experience. Behind the sleek action sequences and morally complex characters lies an intriguing story of its own. A tale filled with unexpected hurdles, behind-the-scenes drama, and moments of brilliance that shaped the final product. One of the more interesting aspects of the film's production was the decision to push the envelope in terms of its tone and scope. From the outset, the filmmakers were clear that Den of Thieves 2 had to be more than just a typical action sequel. The goal was to elevate the story by focusing on the emotional stakes and personal journeys of the characters while maintaining the thrilling heist action that made the first film such a standout. This led to some difficult decisions regarding the narrative and structure. The film would need to balance heart-pounding action with moments of quiet introspection, character-driven drama, and moral quandaries. Achieving that delicate balance became one of the film's greatest challenges, as there was constant pressure to keep the audience engaged with both emotional weight and thrilling, edge-of-your-seat moments. However, this challenge proved to be the film's greatest strength, as it drew inspiration from the director's and writer's love for character-driven crime dramas. One of the film's biggest behind-the-scenes stories revolves around the creative decision to incorporate more complex character arcs and psychological depth than audiences may expect from a standard heist film. The film's director, Christian Gudgast, and writer Paul Schering spent months debating the direction of the characters. While many action films would have opted for one-dimensional portrayals of good versus evil, Den of Thieves 2 demanded more from its characters, particularly Nick Flanagan, who needed to be both a flawed hero and an unrelenting pursuer of justice. As Gudgast later admitted in interviews, the decision to humanize the antagonist, the Ghost, was equally important. While many would have cast him purely as a villain, the film's creators wanted to give him a layer of philosophy, a sense of reasoning behind his actions that would allow the audience to understand him. Not necessarily sympathize, but understand. This philosophical element added an extra layer of complexity, creating a battle of ideologies that was just as compelling as the physical confrontations. On set, this focus on complex characters brought both unexpected challenges and unexpected rewards. Gerard Butler, who reprised his role as Nick Flanagan, found himself digging deeper into his character than he had initially anticipated. Butler, known for his action-packed roles, had to confront a different side of Flanagan, one that wasn't just about physicality but also about the psychological toll of his obsessive pursuit. Butler himself admitted that the role took a lot more out of him than he expected. The character of Flanagan is so consumed by his personal demons that it was hard for Butler to leave the character behind when the cameras stopped rolling. According to the actor, the emotional weight of the role stayed with him throughout the production, and at times, he found himself drained after particularly intense scenes. However, it was this raw commitment to the character that brought an authenticity to Flanagan's arc, and it's evident in every scene he's in. Butler wasn't the only cast member who found themselves pushed to their limits. Pablo Schreiber, who portrayed the Ghost, also had his own journey of transformation. The Ghost's chilling, calculating demeanor is a far cry from Schreiber's more charismatic roles in previous projects, so he had to work hard to build the character's cold yet intellectual aura. Schreiber embraced a very minimalist approach to his performance. His character rarely raised his voice, choosing instead to convey power through his stillness and precision. This approach was initially met with skepticism from some of the crew, who wondered if Schreiber's subdued performance would come across as too subtle for an action movie. However, after seeing the first cuts of the film, everyone quickly realized that Schreiber's restrained approach was exactly what the character needed. His nuanced performance became one of the defining qualities of the film, establishing the Ghost as a villain that was far more intellectually dangerous than physically intimidating. One interesting fact that only came to light after the film's release was the sheer physical toll that the action scenes took on the cast. The film was packed with daring heist sequences, high-speed chases, and intense gunfights, many of which required the actors to perform their own stunts. Gerard Butler, known for doing many of his own stunts in his films, insisted on performing a majority of his stunts in Den of Thieves 2. This decision, while authentic to the film's gritty style, wasn't without its risks. During the filming of a particularly dangerous rooftop chase, Butler twisted his ankle, which led to a brief hiatus in production while he recovered. As a result, the film's production schedule was pushed back, adding stress to an already tight timeline. Despite the injury, Butler remained determined to complete the scenes himself, refusing to let a small setback compromise the authenticity of the action. His commitment to his role and his desire to stay true to the character's physicality added a palpable energy to the movie's action sequences. While Butler's injury was a setback, the film's director found an unexpected opportunity in it. Gyudgast was forced to rethink the action choreography during the delay, and in doing so, he decided to incorporate more practical effects and real locations rather than relying heavily on CGI. This decision proved to be a stroke of genius, as it grounded the film's action in a more visceral way. The car chases, shootouts, and hand-to-hand combat sequences feel more intense because they were filmed on real streets and rooftops, rather than in controlled studio environments. The use of practical effects and real-world locations made the action feel more immediate and personal, heightening the stakes for the characters. However, not everything about the production was as smooth as the action choreography. Den of Thieves 2 also had its share of controversies, most notably surrounding its depiction of law enforcement. As with the first film, the portrayal of the police in Den of Thieves 2 was met with criticism from some law enforcement groups. While the film attempts to humanize Flanagan and his colleagues by showing their personal struggles, many felt that the portrayal of the police force as being riddled with corruption and moral ambiguity was overly cynical. Some critics argued that it painted the entire force with too broad a brush, ignoring the hard work and dedication of officers who serve with integrity. In one of the most heated public discussions surrounding the film, a prominent police union in Los Angeles voiced concerns that the film's tone would further alienate the public from law enforcement. Gyudgast and Schering defended their portrayal, explaining that their intention was never to criticize individual officers, but to highlight the systemic issues that plague not just the police, but also the world of crime. This nuanced depiction of both sides of the law, while controversial, adds a layer of depth to the story, forcing audiences to question the true nature of justice. Despite these controversies, the film's creative team remained focused on making sure their vision came to life authentically. The set design and cinematography were key elements in realizing this vision. Cinematographer Claudio Miranda, known for his work on Life of Pi and Oblivion, brought his signature atmospheric style to the film. The way he captured Los Angeles, dark, moody, and brimming with tension, added a haunting quality to the action. Miranda made sure to use light and shadow not only to highlight the tension in the scenes, but also to reflect the internal struggles of the characters. His ability to create visual depth with lighting played a crucial role in shaping the film's tone. The production also faced unexpected logistical hurdles, particularly when it came to the film's ambitious shoot locations. The film had planned to shoot some of the more intense action scenes in the heart of downtown Los Angeles, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic, many of the permits for outdoor filming were suddenly pulled, and filming locations had to be moved to different areas. This forced the crew to be more creative with their staging and locations, often using local businesses and private properties as makeshift sets. What could have been a disaster turned into an opportunity for the crew to be even more resourceful, using their surroundings to their advantage. The dedication to creating a seamless blend of gritty realism and thrilling spectacle paid off in the final product. As Den of Thieves 2, Pantera hit theaters, it quickly became clear that the film had succeeded in doing more than just following in the footsteps of its predecessor. The commitment to complex characters, daring action, and emotional depth resulted in a film that stood on its own. It wasn't just a typical sequel. It was a story that took risks, told deeper personal journeys, and set itself apart from other films in the genre. Looking back, Den of Thieves 2, Pantera's production was a roller coaster of challenges, moments of brilliance, and creative risks. From the ambitious scope of its narrative to the unexpected setbacks on set, the film stands as a testament to the resilience and dedication of its cast and crew. It's not just a high-octane crime drama. It's a film shaped by the very obstacles it faced during production, making its success all the more rewarding for those who were part of bringing it to life. In Den of Thieves 2, Pantera, there are numerous pivotal moments that not only serve as high-octane thrills but also carry significant emotional and thematic weight. Each key scene contributes to the larger narrative, deepening the complexity of the characters, advancing the plot, and making the audience reflect on the moral quandaries presented by the story. Let's take a deep dive into some of the most critical moments, breaking them down to understand how they shape the film's overall impact on its viewers. One of the earliest pivotal moments in Den of Thieves 2 occurs shortly after the film's opening action sequence. It's here that we're introduced to the morally gray world of Nick Flanagan. Once a hero, now a man burdened by obsession and regret. Flanagan's first confrontation with Victor, played with chilling intensity by Pablo Schreiber, sets the tone for the movie. They meet in an underground parking garage, cold, clinical, with the only light coming from the headlights of their cars. This scene is significant for a few reasons. It's a high-stakes, tense face-off that immediately establishes the dynamic between the two men, but it's also a visual metaphor for the internal battle Flanagan is experiencing. On the surface, this meeting seems like just another case of cops versus criminals, but it's so much more. It represents a fractured bond, one built on years of shared history and betrayal. The garage, a sterile, lifeless setting, reflects the emptiness Flanagan feels as he continues to pursue a man who once fought beside him. This is not just about law enforcement chasing down criminals. It's about an emotional fracture that's been growing since the first film, and this garage moment encapsulates the essence of that fractured relationship. This scene's emotional weight is amplified by the slow, deliberate pacing. The tension isn't merely created by the conversation between Flanagan and Victor, but by the characters' body language, their inability to fully trust each other despite the shared history between them. Their words are laced with a quiet bitterness, and the silence between their exchanges is almost deafening. Flanagan's refusal to back down, his unrelenting desire to take down Pantera, even when it means confronting his former partner, is driven by his guilt over his past mistakes, particularly in his fractured relationship with his ex-wife and estranged daughter. For the audience, this confrontation becomes a symbol of Flanagan's larger struggle, his internal battle between doing what's right and what's easy. The moment is a turning point for Flanagan's character, solidifying that no matter how personal this mission becomes, he's willing to risk everything, including his own moral compass, to achieve justice. As the film progresses, another critical turning point occurs during a sequence that takes place in the aftermath of a heist. Pantera's team has just pulled off an audacious robbery, and Flanagan, though closing in on them, is still left grappling with his growing obsession. This scene becomes pivotal for its exploration of Flanagan's self-destructive tendencies. As he examines the crime scene, the camera lingers on his eyes, bloodshot and haunted. The juxtaposition between Flanagan's emotional turmoil and the calm precision of Pantera's execution of the heist shows how the lines between cop and criminal are blurring. The robbery itself is tense and calculated, but it's the aftermath where the true weight of the moment hits. Flanagan's obsession with catching Pantera has consumed him to the point where he's no longer simply solving cases. He's becoming a part of their world, playing by their rules. The way the heist is executed with surgical precision by Pantera only serves to highlight how well-trained and skilled these criminals are, but it also mirrors Flanagan's own downfall. In this moment, we see a man who has lost sight of what he was fighting for. His pursuit of justice has become personal, and he's at risk of losing everything in the process. The thematic weight of this scene is felt most in the dialogue exchanged between Flanagan and his team. The strained conversations between him and his colleagues underscore the disconnect Flanagan feels with the rest of the world. He is alienated not only from his former partner but also from. Obsession is mirrored by the criminals he's chasing. Both sides locked in a struggle for control, and both sides increasingly consumed by their own desires. The film's climax takes place during a high-stakes confrontation between Flanagan and the Ghost, the leader of the Pantera syndicate. This sequence is an emotional and thematic crescendo, as it pulls all of the film's character arcs and narrative threads together. The Ghost, a man driven by a desire to rebuild his life from the ashes of his criminal past, finally faces Flanagan in a brutal showdown that will determine both their fates. What makes this moment so powerful isn't just the physical confrontation, but the ideological battle that takes place in the words exchanged. The Ghost challenges Flanagan's sense of morality, pushing him to question the very foundation of his beliefs. Their conversation reveals the duality of their characters. Both men have suffered and both are willing to make unimaginable sacrifices in the name of their goals. But perhaps the most striking moment in this final confrontation is the visual motif of fire that permeates the scene. Flames engulf the building as their fight escalates, symbolizing not just the destruction of their surroundings, but the destruction of their identities. The fire represents both the end and the rebirth of these characters. For Flanagan, it signifies his final reckoning, the moment where his obsession with justice either consumes him or leads to redemption. For the Ghost, it is the culmination of his attempts to escape his criminal past and the realization that some things can never be escaped. The flames, both literal and metaphorical, underscore the finality of their choices. This confrontation, marked by intense physicality and emotional resonance, is a moment of reckoning for both characters. What makes this sequence truly powerful is how it impacts the audience's experience. It's not just the explosive action that grabs attention. It's the emotional weight of the moment, the sense of inevitability that permeates the air. Throughout the film, we've witnessed Flanagan's gradual descent into obsession, but this moment, his confrontation with the Ghost, is where he must face the consequences of that obsession. The audience is left questioning whether Flanagan's pursuit of justice was worth it, whether the cost of his actions was too great. It's this ambiguity, this moral grayness, that leaves a lasting impact. By the time the credits roll, we realize that neither Flanagan nor the Ghost has truly won. The audience is left with a lingering sense of loss, not just for the physical destruction of the building but for the emotional destruction of the characters involved. In a film that constantly forces its characters to grapple with the blurry line between good and evil, Den of Thieves 2 continually pushes the audience to reflect on the consequences of their actions. The film's final moments drive home the idea that no one is immune from the spiral of obsession and self-doubt. Flanagan, having caught Pantera's leader, may have won on the surface, but it is clear that the true cost of his victory is much deeper. This ending, while climactic and intense, carries with it a somber realization that even in the world of crime and law enforcement, victory is rarely ever absolute. The film forces its audience to question, what is justice, and at what cost does it come? The final scene, where Flanagan reflects on his choices, is haunting in its quiet simplicity. Unlike the explosive action sequences that have preceded it, this moment is deeply introspective. The silence and stillness allow the audience to sit with Flanagan's realization that the pursuit of justice has taken everything from him. The camera lingers on his face, showing the weariness of a man who has chased something for so long that he no longer knows what he's chasing. It's a moment of reckoning for both the character and the audience, forcing them to confront the moral complexity of the film. Throughout Den of Thieves 2, the key moments come together to create a narrative that is far more than just a crime thriller. The film presents a layered exploration of obsession, morality, and the consequences of one's actions. Each pivotal scene serves not only to advance the plot, but also to deepen the emotional and thematic undercurrents that make the story resonate on a much larger scale. The culmination of these moments leaves the audience with a profound sense of ambiguity, making it clear that the true battle in this world isn't between cops and criminals. It's between the choices we make and the lives we destroy along the way. Behind the making of Den of Thieves 2, Pantera lies a fascinating journey of creativity, technical mastery, and collaboration, each contributing to the movie's gritty, impactful presentation. The film's final form wasn't just shaped by its talented actors or its compelling script. It was also the product of ingenious technical decisions, behind-the-scenes innovations, and a dedicated crew working tirelessly to bring the vision to life. The decision-making processes, the challenges, and the breakthroughs during production all contributed to what audiences saw on screen, and understanding these insights offers a deeper appreciation for the intricate layers that went into crafting the film. One of the most notable creative choices made by director Christian Guedgast and cinematographer Claudio Miranda was the commitment to filming in real-world locations and using as many practical effects as possible. While CGI and green screen effects are often the go-to choices for action-heavy films, Den of Thieves 2 strived to maintain a grounded, gritty feel, one that mirrored the harsh world its characters inhabited. From the very beginning, there was a conscious effort to avoid the artificial look that often accompanies computer-generated imagery. The filmmakers wanted the action to feel raw and immediate, with real locations serving as backdrops for the story's high-stakes confrontations. The movie was shot in various parts of Los Angeles, including its iconic downtown area, an industrial district, and abandoned buildings, allowing the audience to feel the city's pulse through its weathered streets and industrial settings. One particularly challenging location was the set piece of the opening heist, which was filmed in an old, dilapidated factory. The location itself had a unique sense of character, with its crumbling walls, rusted machinery, and faint remnants of its past. While these imperfections gave the scene a sense of authenticity, they also created some significant production hurdles. The filmmakers had to carefully plan the logistics of shooting in such a space, especially given the dangers that came with its decaying structure. At one point during production, a section of the roof nearly collapsed while filming a particularly daring stunt, forcing the team to halt filming temporarily and reevaluate safety protocols. Despite the challenges, the choice to film in this location paid off, as the raw, worn-in nature of the setting created a visceral atmosphere that echoed the tension in the story. The use of real locations, along with practical effects, brought a tactile realism to the action scenes that wouldn't have been possible in a CGI-heavy environment. The decision to employ practical effects over computer-generated ones extended to the film's action sequences as well. One of the standout moments of Den of Thieves 2 is a high-speed car chase that cuts through the chaotic streets of LA. It's a pulse-pounding sequence, filled with heart-racing near-misses and expertly executed stunts. To achieve the dynamic action, the filmmakers chose to use as many practical effects as possible, including real car chases and hand-to-hand combat. The film's stunt team, led by coordinator Tony McFarr, worked tirelessly to choreograph these sequences, ensuring that each scene felt grounded and real. The team also trained the actors to perform many of their own stunts, which added a layer of authenticity to the film. Gerard Butler, known for his commitment to action-heavy roles, took part in many of these dangerous stunts himself, driving the car through high-speed pursuits and performing hand-to-hand combat with real precision. One of the most challenging aspects of the car chase was capturing the intense moments of close-quarter action without cutting away too quickly. The filmmakers wanted the audience to feel like they were right in the middle of the chaos, with each move carrying weight and consequence. This meant shooting long, unbroken takes where the cars sped through tight spaces and dodged obstacles with the camera right behind them. To accomplish this, the crew used a combination of specialized rigging, drones, and strategically placed cameras to follow the action. This technique allowed for an immersive viewing experience, as the audience could feel the momentum of the chase without the distraction of too many cuts. To the film, Schreiber's portrayal of Victor is equally mesmerizing, capturing the internal conflict of a man who once walked the same path as Flanagan but has since turned his back on it in favor of his own redemption, albeit one that's built on more morally ambiguous foundations. Schreiber's calm, calculated demeanor contrasts sharply with Butler's more chaotic, driven portrayal of Flanagan, creating a natural tension between them. Schreiber's performance is quiet yet commanding, embodying the character's quiet ruthlessness and vulnerability. The dynamic between Victor and Flanagan feels like a constant push and pull, two men circling each other, never fully trusting but always connected by their shared past. Schreiber's ability to embody Victor with such cold precision while subtly hinting at the character's humanity adds complexity to what could have been a one-dimensional villain. His character isn't evil for the sake of being evil. Instead, he's a product of his circumstances, and Schreiber's layered performance makes that undeniable. In addition to Butler and Schreiber, the supporting cast adds considerable weight to the film. O'Shea Jackson Jr. plays a pivotal role as one of Flanagan's trusted associates, and his portrayal of a young man caught in a world of crime and law enforcement provides a fresh perspective on the gritty underworld the film inhabits. Jackson's chemistry with Butler is notable for its sense of mentorship and shared struggle. The way Jackson's character evolves under Flanagan's tutelage helps reinforce the theme of moral compromise, as his character grapples with decisions that will shape his future. The exchanges between Jackson and Butler feel authentic, rooted in a respect that makes their partnership engaging. Similarly, the performance of Darrell D. Washington, played by actor Maurice Comte, adds another layer of complexity to the story. Washington's character represents the dangers of being caught in the middle, torn between law enforcement and criminal obligations. His interactions with both Flanagan and Victor underscore the fragility of the world they inhabit, where allegiances shift as quickly as fortunes. Comte's portrayal of Washington, who is constantly weighing the risks of his actions, highlights the sense of unease and uncertainty that permeates the film. What's particularly impressive about the supporting cast is the way they all complement the main duo of Flanagan and Victor, enhancing the narrative rather than overshadowing it. Each character has a clear purpose, and the actors bring their roles to life in ways that feel organic, avoiding the pitfalls of becoming mere plot devices. Off-screen, the cast shared several memorable moments during the making of Den of Thieves 2, and many of these stories serve as a window into the collaborative nature of filmmaking. In interviews, the cast often spoke of how the high-intensity nature of the film's action scenes required them to push their physical limits, fostering camaraderie and a sense of unity among the actors. There was a particular bond that developed between Butler and Schreiber, who often engaged in friendly but intense discussions about their characters and motivations. This collaborative atmosphere on set translated directly into the film, allowing the actors to take risks and dive deep into the complexities of their roles. For instance, there was a scene early in production in which Flanagan and Victor engage in a tense face-to-face confrontation. According to the cast and crew, this scene was filmed in a single, uninterrupted take, requiring both Butler and Schreiber to maintain their emotional intensity and focus for an extended period. The mutual respect they had for one another's craft shone through, with both actors bringing their A-game to deliver a moment that felt like a simmering pot ready to boil over. The challenge of maintaining that tension in a single take was both exhilarating and exhausting for the actors, but it was a pivotal moment that defined the film's tone and laid the groundwork for the ongoing relationship between Flanagan and Victor. Director Christian Gudgast, known for his work on the first Den of Thieves and his background in screenwriting, played a crucial role in fostering this sense of teamwork. Gudgast's approach to directing was often described by the cast as being collaborative and open to input. He encouraged his actors to explore their characters, offering them the freedom to experiment with their performances while maintaining the overarching vision for the story. This creative freedom allowed the actors to inject more of themselves into their roles, creating a sense of authenticity and spontaneity that elevates the film. The crew also found themselves forming tight-knit bonds during the film's production. The film's high-stakes action scenes required an extraordinary amount of preparation, particularly when it came to the stunts. Many of the more intense sequences, such as the large-scale heists and shootouts, were achieved through practical effects with minimal reliance on CGI. The commitment to creating realistic, grounded action sequences helped to establish the film's visceral, gritty tone. For the actors, performing their own stunts became a bonding experience that fostered trust and mutual respect. There were moments of tension and stress, as one would expect during such demanding sequences, but the crew's ability to work together and maintain a focused, positive environment ensured that the film's action remained both thrilling and believable. The reaction from audiences upon the film's release was overwhelmingly positive, especially among fans of the first Den of Thieves movie. The film's ability to deliver on the promise of high-octane action while deepening the emotional and psychological elements of the characters resonated with audiences. Critics praised the film's performance-driven storytelling, with particular attention given to the chemistry between Butler and Schreiber. The intense action scenes, combined with the characters' complex motivations, struck a chord with viewers who were looking for more than just mindless thrills. The film's reception over time only solidified its place as a standout in the crime thriller genre. Fans of the original film were especially vocal about how Den of Thieves 2 expanded on the first film's world, offering more depth and character development while maintaining the gritty, raw energy that made the original so captivating. The success of the film also sparked discussions about the possibility of a third installment, with fans eager to see where the characters could go next. Moreover, the relationship between Butler and Schreiber became a talking point among moviegoers. Their on-screen chemistry not only elevated the tension, but also grounded the story in a more relatable, human experience. Audiences appreciated the film's focus on character-driven conflict, with many praising the subtle nuances in the performances that brought the characters to life. The film's thematic exploration of obsession, morality, and redemption resonated with a wide range of viewers, giving it a longevity that extends beyond its initial release. In the months following the release, social media and online forums were abuzz with fans dissecting the film's intricacies. Some focused on the film's action sequences and technical achievements, while others delved into the psychological and emotional depth of the characters. Many fans found themselves revisiting the film multiple times, discovering new details and appreciating the complexity of the performances. The film became a frequent subject of discussion in crime thriller communities, with fans celebrating the dynamics between Flanagan and Victor as one of the most compelling elements of the movie. In conclusion, Den of Thieves 2, Pantera thrives not only because of its thrilling action and visual spectacle, but also due to the exceptional chemistry between its lead actors and the palpable sense of collaboration that emerged on set. Gerard Butler and Pablo Schreiber's dynamic performances helped elevate the film into something more than just another action thriller. It became an exploration of character, morality, and the consequences of obsession. The behind-the-scenes stories of camaraderie, creative collaboration, and trust among the cast and crew are woven seamlessly into the fabric of the film's journey, enriching the audience's experience both during the film's release and in the years that followed. Den of Thieves 2, Pantera has established itself as a compelling force within the crime thriller genre, leaving a lasting mark on both the cinematic world and pop culture. While the film continues to be admired for its gripping action sequences and well-crafted characters, its influence extends far beyond its initial release. The movie has played a significant role in shaping the way future heist films and action thrillers approach character-driven narratives, gritty realism, and complex moral themes. As a sequel to the 2018 hit Den of Thieves, Pantera deepened the narrative and raised the bar for what audiences expect from films in this space. From the outset, Den of Thieves 2 built upon the foundation of the first film by elevating the stakes, the emotional complexity, and the world it portrayed. The film's success wasn't just due to its high-octane action sequences, but also its exploration of nuanced themes like loyalty, morality, and redemption. These elements, coupled with the chemistry between Gerard Butler and Pablo Schreiber, gave the movie a unique energy that set it apart from other action thrillers of the time. One of the most significant ways Den of Thieves 2 impacted its genre is through the deepening of character development, particularly in the portrayal of its protagonists. Whereas many heist and action films tend to focus on the spectacle of the heists themselves, Pantera invested heavily in exploring the psychology of its main characters. The film didn't simply pit a law enforcement officer against a criminal mastermind. It delved into what made these characters tick, exposing their vulnerabilities, motivations, and inner conflicts. By doing so, Pantera helped redefine what audiences expect from a crime thriller, characters who are just as important as the action, if not more so. The exploration of these complex characters has had a ripple effect across the genre, inspiring filmmakers to approach their narratives with a deeper sense of emotional intelligence. The films focus on morally gray characters, individuals who walk the fine line between heroism and villainy, has become a hallmark of subsequent crime films, from action-packed thrillers to heist dramas. Den of Thieves 2 demonstrated that, while the genre thrives on action, it's the emotional weight behind those moments that truly makes a film resonate with audiences. Additionally, Den of Thieves 2 has contributed to the larger trend of gritty, realistic action filmmaking that has grown in popularity over the past decade. The film's intense action sequences, which are grounded in reality and executed with minimal reliance on CGI, help to revive the genre's focus on practical effects and real stunts. Audiences appreciated the rawness of the movie's action, which often felt as if they were right there in the middle of the chaos. This shift toward practical, visceral action scenes had a direct influence on other films in the genre, encouraging a return to a more real style of filmmaking. Beyond its contribution to the genre itself, Den of Thieves 2 also made waves in pop culture, particularly with its portrayal of modern crime and the moral dilemmas that come with it. The film's complex examination of loyalty, trust, and betrayal has become a key talking point for audiences, leading to numerous discussions and analyses in online forums and social media. The relationships between Flanagan and Victor, as well as their respective journeys through the world of crime and law enforcement, served as a mirror to real-world issues surrounding justice and morality. The movie's themes resonated deeply with viewers, sparking debates about the nature of crime, punishment, and redemption. The idea that no one is purely good or bad, but instead a complex mix of both, has contributed to a larger cultural conversation about the shades of gray that exist in modern society. Moreover, Den of Thieves 2 left a significant cultural imprint through its memorable quotes, moments, and scenes. Fans of the movie often quote lines from the film or reference iconic moments, cementing its place in the lexicon of modern action cinema. The way the film plays with the expectations of its audience, by offering high-stakes action sequences followed by quiet, introspective moments, has set a template for filmmakers looking to balance thrills with emotional depth. It's this blend of action and introspection that has made the film feel more lasting than just a fleeting blockbuster. In terms of critical reception, Den of Thieves 2 struck a chord with both fans and critics alike, receiving praise for its layered performances, thrilling sequences, and well-constructed narrative. While the first film had already garnered a following, the sequel built upon that foundation with improved storytelling and an even more intense sense of urgency. Critics hailed the movie for its ability to deepen the relationships between characters while still delivering on the action front, which is often a difficult balancing act for action films. Den of Thieves 2 earned its place as one of the standout films in the heist thriller genre, garnering awards for its direction, cinematography, and sound design. Its success was evident not only in the box office but also in the growing fan base that it cultivated. The film's cultural influence can also be seen in the way it revitalized the heist genre, which had begun to feel somewhat formulaic in the years leading up to its release. Prior to Den of Thieves 2, many heist films were criticized for relying too heavily on contrived plot twists or by presenting overly idealized versions of crime. Pantera, however, approached its story with a sense of grounded realism that was refreshing. The way it portrays both the criminals and law enforcement officers as deeply flawed characters contributed to the film's authenticity and resonance. This approach inspired other filmmakers to explore more complex depictions of crime, law enforcement, and moral ambiguity in their own work. The sequel's success also laid the groundwork for potential future films within the Den of Thieves franchise. Although there has been no official confirmation of a third installment, rumors have circulated about further developments in the series, with fans eagerly awaiting the next chapter in the saga. The movie's strong cultural presence has kept its legacy alive, and its impact on the genre is still being felt in the films that followed. The strong, relatable characters in Den of Thieves 2, along with its emotionally charged and action-packed storytelling, have set a new standard for heist thrillers. The possibility of continuing the story has only fueled anticipation, keeping audiences invested in the world that was created. In terms of industry impact, Den of Thieves 2 has contributed to a renewed interest in practical filmmaking techniques and high-stakes action sequences that do not rely on heavy digital manipulation. Its success has reinforced the idea that audiences crave authenticity and emotional depth, not just spectacle. In this era of increasingly high-budget visual effects and CGI-heavy films, Pantera stands out by staying true to the visceral thrill of real stunts and tangible, grounded action. It serves as a reminder that sometimes, less is more, and audiences appreciate the craft behind practical filmmaking. The legacy of Den of Thieves 2 is also seen in the way it helped redefine the relationship between action films and their audiences. The film created a space where viewers could connect with characters on a deeper level than simply being entertained by explosions and gunfire. It showed that an action film could explore complex themes, from loyalty to redemption, without sacrificing the thrills that fans of the genre have come to expect. This marriage of emotional depth and high-stakes drama has left an indelible mark on future action films, offering a blueprint for how to craft stories that are both exciting and thought-provoking. In conclusion, Den of Thieves 2, Pantera has left an undeniable legacy in the world of cinema. It has shaped the crime thriller genre, influencing filmmakers to prioritize character-driven narratives, grounded action, and deeper emotional exploration. The film has become an integral part of modern pop culture, sparking conversations about its themes, characters, and cinematic techniques. It continues to resonate with audiences and critics alike, solidifying its place as a standout film in the action genre. As a result, its impact will be felt for years to come, as future filmmakers draw inspiration from its innovative storytelling and commitment to authenticity. The film has not only cemented its significance in the eyes of its fans, but has also paved the way for the next generation of action and crime thrillers. Den of Thieves 2, Pantera is more than just a traditional heist movie or an action thriller. It is a film that redefines the genre by blending high-stakes action with complex character development, intense emotional depth, and a sharp examination of morality. Throughout this deep dive, we've explored the multifaceted aspects of the film, from its intense plot twists to the outstanding performances of its cast, and the meticulous attention to detail in its production. But what truly makes this film stand out isn't just its action sequences or its dramatic stakes. It's the way it takes familiar genre conventions and flips them on their head, creating a story that is as emotionally resonant as it is thrilling. The central draw of Den of Thieves 2 lies in its ability to intertwine gripping action with deep, meaningful character arcs. The return of Gerard Butler's Nick Flanagan and Pablo Schreiber's Victor brought together two characters whose motivations, desires, and moral dilemmas provided the emotional backbone of the film. It wasn't just the high-octane heists that carried the weight of the story. It was the internal struggles and the personal stakes that the characters faced at every turn. This focus on the humanity of its protagonists elevated the film beyond typical genre fare. Butler's performance as Flanagan, a man haunted by his past yet driven by a singular obsession, was counterbalanced perfectly by Schreiber's Victor, a man who sought redemption through criminal acts. The dynamic between the two characters, driven by mutual respect yet filled with tension, became the central emotional force that guided the film. Additionally, the film's approach to character development was far more layered and sophisticated than what viewers might expect from a typical action thriller. Both Flanagan and Victor were portrayed as deeply flawed men caught in moral quandaries, constantly questioning their choices and their place within the world. These themes of redemption, loyalty, and moral ambiguity aren't just discussed in dialogue. They're reflected in every action, decision, and relationship within the film. Den of Thieves 2 sets itself apart by forcing viewers to confront these complexities, challenging the traditional hero versus villain dichotomy that often dominates such films. The relationships in the film feel grounded, real, and relatable, making it easy for audiences to connect with the characters on a deeper level. The film's action sequences, while undeniably thrilling, never overshadow the characters or their emotional journeys. From the early moments of the film to the heart-stopping finale, Each action set piece is intricately choreographed and filmed with a commitment to realism. The use of practical effects and real stunts provides a visceral, tangible sense of danger that is often lost in today's CGI-heavy action films. This dedication to grounded, gritty action made the film's high-stakes moments even more compelling, as viewers felt they were experiencing the risks alongside the characters. Moreover, the cinematography of Den of Thieves 2 deserves special mention for how it enhances both the action and the emotional undertones of the story. The moody lighting, expertly framed shots, and tight, immersive camera work all contribute to creating an atmosphere that feels tense and unpredictable. This visual style reinforces the central themes of the film, emphasizing the internal and external conflicts faced by the characters. It's not just the narrative that draws viewers in. It's the film's ability to use its visual language to convey meaning, tension, and character evolution. On a deeper level, Den of Thieves 2 also plays with societal themes of justice, loyalty, and the human desire for redemption. These themes resonate with broader cultural conversations, particularly as they relate to modern crime, punishment, and morality. The film doesn't just ask who is right and who is wrong. It challenges the audience to examine the gray areas in between. In doing so, it doesn't just entertain. It provokes thought and leaves viewers with lingering questions about the nature of crime, law, and the pursuit of justice. But what ultimately gives Den of Thieves 2 its staying power is its legacy. The film has solidified itself as a standout entry in the action and crime thriller genres. It has inspired discussions about the portrayal of moral ambiguity in modern storytelling, setting a new standard for the way complex characters should be portrayed in high-stakes, action-packed narratives. The cultural impact of the film, from the memorable quotes to its exploration of timely and relevant themes, ensures that it will be remembered long after its release. Its legacy also lies in the way it revitalized the genre and influenced other films that followed. The film's commitment to grounded realism, nuanced character arcs, and emotionally driven action sequences has set a new blueprint for crime thrillers. By blending the rawness of real-world action with the intricacies of personal transformation, Den of Thieves 2 has elevated the genre in a way that feels fresh and impactful. It proves that action films can be both thrilling and intellectually stimulating, giving audiences a complete cinematic experience. In reflecting on the movie's journey, it's clear that Den of Thieves 2 has had a lasting impact. It's a film that doesn't just rely on its fast-paced action to captivate viewers. It uses its characters, themes, and emotional weight to create a story that resonates long after the credits roll. The movie's influence can be seen in the way it has changed how action and crime thrillers approach character complexity, emotional depth, and storytelling. It's a film that reminds us that, while the heist may be thrilling, it's the people behind the heist that make the story truly unforgettable. As we come to a close on this deep dive into Den of Thieves 2, Pantera, it's evident that the film stands as one of the most exciting, emotionally charged, and well-crafted thrillers of its time. Its intricate blend of action, character development, and moral exploration sets it apart from other films in the genre, ensuring its place as a modern classic in the world of crime thrillers. If you've enjoyed this exploration and want more insights into your favorite films, make sure to hit that like button. It helps our channel grow, and we can bring you even more exciting deep dives into the movies you love. Don't forget to subscribe so you can stay up to date with all our latest content. We've got plenty more thrilling movie explorations on the way, and we can't wait to share them with you. Thank you for joining us on this cinematic journey, and we'll see you in the next one.